Hi folks, so I've done a number of videos of late in regards to the somewhat metaphysics of this of the CV story, and which are rather important. But at the moment, I'm just so tired of the narrative. I'm just so just really need a break. I mean, don't we all? Don't we all? It's in one of the videos that I did do, I spoke about. It's like hearing a song over and over again. Like when they would apparently torture people, they would play the Barney song, "I love you, you love me," on a loop endlessly for hours or days. And you can just imagine. And I'm sure how many of us are feeling. There's no question about it. We're just so sick and tired of the narrative. It's just so stale. It's just so repetitive. It's just so, without change in a way. It's just the same sort of energy that's just being recycled over and over again. And it's like, not just on the media, but in people's lives. And it's just overly consumed the world, obviously, and taken a hold, stranglehold, absolutely. And again, it isn't like it's completed. It hasn't the final bell hasn't rung on it or something or other. I mean, here in South Africa, they're preparing for the peak, so to speak, with they expecting a million infected and 40,000 deaths. And people from the CDC and Mr. Gates himself, again, somebody that we're all very, very tired of, and all these people. But they've said that Africa will be hit the hardest, so I don't know what that's about, but it's to say the least. And so, over here, it's just like, well, the lockdown bought the time, and we're just waiting for the peak. We're prepared now for the peak to come, and whatever it is, and it's inevitable. There's no escaping it, and so it's just how it is. But here for here in South Africa, like I've mentioned, it has been the world's hardest lockdown, and again, that's very, very unexpected or unusual for government that. There is just a lawless country, right, where corruption is rampant more than other places, where it doesn't care for the citizens, the people at all. I mean, not many governments do, and some do actually, but here it's the absolute opposite. And so, for example, I mean, they've just continued this ban on cigarette smoking into level 3. And so people are up in arms about it. You can be sure petitions are just skyrocketing, and they're getting all the signatures that they need, which I'm sure nothing's going to be done about either. And so it's just been really tough for me, folks, because I've been in the same city now for over 2 months, and that's very unusual for me. I'm somebody who needs to have a change of city every 2 to 3 weeks, okay? And not that I'm that adventurous, but either most likely I'll go from Durban to Johannesburg, where my business used to be. Now it's finished, but and sometimes I get into the country as well, but it's so needed. I spoke about in my last talk about how it's very important to have a change of scenery and change of energy, right? And something also to look forward to, that breaks the routine of things, that breaks the cycle of things. I mentioned that, when we used to live in nature, nature did that for us a lot of the time. The seasons changing and the landscape changing around us, was enough to feel like you're in a whole new environment, a whole different existence in a way. I mean, from so many levels, and so on and so forth, and so. And nature changes, but again, we've been able to keep that change at bay a lot of the time because of our technology and modern lifestyle. So, that's been the case, and so it's so much even more necessary for modernized, civilized folks like ourselves, living in the cities and the little compartments. Really, they're just compartments. whatever it is, to be able to have a change of scenery, a change of energy, refresh one's routine or just state of. Not only that, I spoke about the people in our lives. I said, it's like even lovers need a holiday, like the song goes. We really do. It's not healthy to be exclusive. This sort of way that we live today. Again, we don't know our neighbors. We don't live with family. I'm saying we don't live in a sort of tribal community lifestyle, whatever it is. And I'm sure we'd still get sick of the tribal people ourselves. But at least we would have different interactions that were more personal, more real. Like what I'm saying today is that really the most interactions that you have is with the people that live in your house, okay, with you, type of thing. And some people you live alone, so you have very little to no interaction with people, face to face. Does that make sense? I mean, especially because of the lockdown. But I mean, just besides for that, just to, you see, because the thing is that if other people are not on the same wavelength as you, okay, and they're very, I don't know, superficial, materialistic, very narrow-minded, and their way of perception of life and just everything about them is just very one-dimensional. And what happens is that you start to also take on a one-dimensional experience of life. I mean, if you were around like-minded individuals, you'll be stimulated, challenged every day, right? You would be diving deep, evolving very quickly. It'd really be cutting edge, and I don't think that you would get bored or tired, more so or very easily with people that were like-minded. I mean, you'd sit for hours, stimulating conversations. You could go for walks and talk about your different. I mean, there's just so much. It's just, But when you are hunkered down, or you just live with people in your life that are just really very one-dimensional, and again, maybe very much in fear, all right, very much in uncertainty, very much people that you can't connect with and share your emotional state, your psychological state. A lot of the time, you just can't share with them. There's a lot of suppression involved, a lot of playing, acting that's going on. It's exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting, and you lose touch. You lose touch, right, with who you are. Again, because also you're not being reflected properly. And you lose touch with, I think, the mysterious, with the mystic, right? With the supernatural, with the existential, right? With the bigger, grander, wider picture, the magic, right? You lose touch with it. Because again, I mean, if people in your life are just sitting and glued to the front of the TV, and, you're witnessing this, and their health is not great, and their conversations are mindless a lot of the time, and they're glued to their TV, their phones or whatever it is, like wherever they move around the house, and you can just see, and they go to work, and they come home, and there's no introspection, there's no change in just questioning, curiosity, nothing. And when you see that, especially and their approach and their ways, you feel saddened. You also feel that you get an impression. It rubs off on you. I mean, no, it rubs off on me, where you feel like, oh man, the mysterious, the magic, right, the magnificence, almost the beauty doesn't exist. It seems like I'm just stuck here. These are like sort of just prison mates in a way, or whatever it is, type of thing. You have that feeling and that experience. And so for myself, I'm very familiar with that, and that's why I like to meet different people. I like to go to different places. I like to see. I like history. I'd love to visit like ancient ruins, temples, mosques, churches, libraries if they're still around, the ancient pyramids or something or other, caves, just history, just the richness, right? That would be so great, so awesome. I mean, I'm not interested in meeting other cultures that are also technologically holding on the same level. I mean, that's, you know what I'm saying? Just something that isn't part of the transhuman agenda that's perpetuating civilization, or not civilization but modernity that's going on, something from yesteryear, something from our history, okay, something that's still grounded with its roots in the soil. I mean, wow. Or just that has metaphors and symbolisms and rituals and ceremonies, and has a story to tell beyond not just this frickin' narrative that that we are currently in and where we headed. Again, I've done a talk on this and I will be uploading it shortly, I hope. But yeah, so I would love that. To have, it's one thing, folks, making videos and having people watch them, and it's such a blessing and opportunity, and getting comments as well. It really is. It's something so special. But at the same time, there's such a delay in the process. Like even now, I'm making this video. I mean, it's just a recording now because I couldn't be bothered to put on the camera and switch on the bright lights. It's late in the evening, so it's one thing recording it into a microphone, into my phone right now, right, and then uploading it, and waiting a couple of days or whatever it is to, get her. And again, even the comments, even though it's not the same, folks. It's not the same if we were sitting face to face with each other. It's not the same. I'm happy, I'm glad, I'm so appreciative and blessed to have Skype conversations with some of you, that are in other parts of the world, countries, or whatever it is. It's just so wonderful, such a blessing, so valued. It really is. But I get tired of it because we're not face to face. And so something is massively missing. I was thinking about it that we're not even feeling the same climate. I mean, it's so strange, but you want to be engaged in the same energy with one another. Like if it's cold, if you're sitting in, and it's cold, or if it's hot or something like that, just that binds you together, right? That the energy of the place, the environment that you're in, that's enriching, and you're in it together, man. And so there's so much more to just being face to face with one another, right? And being in the company of one another. And so I feel very frustrated by technology because it just doesn't do it. I mean, it works for what we need it for right now, but it's not the be all and end all. And again, sometimes for myself, I find it rather despairing. Like, I know I've been so, I don't know, just haven't been good with getting back to comments on my videos in time. Like sometimes it can take me a week, because I just get annoyed. I mean, again, I'm so grateful and blessed for the comments that I do get, and the support and the love and the criticism, whatever it might be, I'm really just, it's again, so grateful for it and appreciative of it. But like sometimes I just feel that to reply to the comments, which I must do, I just feel so frustrated because there's so much I want to reply to some people, there's so much I want to share and say what they've written. I really want to, give my feedback and what I'm taking from it, and it's great. People challenge me, bring up different points. I want to get into all those dialogues with you, and whatever it is. I want to ask questions. What made you think it like this? What did you? And even if I do say that, like let's say I say, well, that's an interesting point. Like, how did you come up to that idea? Like, where did you find that? And like 3 days later, I'll get a reply, and I'll be like, oh, and it's not the same, folks. You know what I mean? It's not instant communication type of thing, and it's not face to face. And so I get frustrated with the comments because I want to be able to dialogue with you, right? I want to be able to discuss this face to face, and in each other's company, and they don't have that. And so I feel frustrated that I have to limit what I want to say and share, and with you, and that annoys me. But so I get frustrated with replying to comments, but I mean, I need to do it, and it's not the commenters. I don't want people to stop commenting, but I just, from that point of view, that's why it takes me a long time to get around to doing it. And sometimes it's not my favorite thing to do, because only from that aspect, because it's just so limiting, and it's just so, we can be having so much more to be said, and whatever, and I crave that. I crave a different perspective. I crave feedback. I desire it, I value it, relationship, critique, whatever it might be. I mean, we really need each other. We really need each other to be pointing out, things that we might be missing, not seeing where our blind spots. We need each other to be, there, being sensitive to one another, kind, gentle, caring, understanding, putting somebody else putting you in their shoes type of thing, and whatever it is, fellowship. Like, we need that. We're tribal folks, and so that's very limiting and disheartening for me at times, and it's the journey. What can we do? So for myself, that's what I feel. And even at the moment, I've just spent so much time on the internet and sitting in this chair that I'm sitting. I mean, it's just been because there's not much more, there's not much else I can do. I mean, I live in a small little townhouse, and I've got a little bit of a garden going, which keeps me somewhat busy for an hour or two a day. I'm doing hydroponics, and it's coming along nicely. I'm having issues with the monkeys and things like that. But I mean, I don't know. Just again, there's not much for me to do. There's been a curfew in place. You're only allowed to exercise or be on the streets from 6 till 9. I mean, it makes it very difficult, folks. It's very hard. I mean, you're not allowed to go to the beach, and for myself, I was at the beach every second day, man. I was there, just loving it. So I can't do that. Not going on any hikes, not going to any sort of, I don't know, what do you call them, nature reserves, nothing like that, man. Oh, I've been so humdrum. So I've just been sitting in this chair, and I'm so I don't know, I can't concentrate so much on how many videos. I mean, there's so much to be watching, and also sometimes to follow the news, just here in South Africa, to see what the hell is this government up to? What are they going to pull next, And it's very interesting. It's a great opportunity this time, folks, to learn about the control system, the manipulation. Again, when I upload that talk on the psychology and the metaphysics of what I think the controllers or the establishment is trying to do, I get quite deep into that, and it's a rather important video, which maybe I'll upload in a day or two. But there's also another video that I've been working on. I did part 1. They want to get under your skin, part 1, and I haven't done part 2. I've got all my notes for it, right? I just haven't found the space to do it, and because again, I'm just so tired of talking about this narrative, right? And so are you, folks. And so I feel like, do I really want to be just engaging with you on that level, interacting with you on that level again, aren't you tired of it? And I feel like, oh, is it really necessary right now? Maybe we should take a break and come back to it, Or is it that important that we realize what's going on now? Because for myself, my efforts in trying to work out what's going on is so that it's not so we can prophesize. It's not that we can, it's just so we, as an individual, we understand what is required, right? On a spiritual approach, a conscious approach. What is being done to the masses? And that involves us as well. What is it that we can still stay within our truths, stay connected to the bigger, wider, grander picture, right? The majestic, right? The mystery. What is it that we can, see the tricks up the magician's sleeve, so we don't fall for the spells or the whatever it is. And it's very important that it's not just important to see from their side, but also people in your life to feel your own despair, your own grief, your own disbelief in what's going on. All of those things, very, very important to sort of really milk it, squeeze the opportunity, because there's a lot here, folks. There's a lot happening. There's a lot of insights. There's a lot of enlightenment, right? That's for the taking, for the learning, for the growing. There's no question about it. And so, what do we talk about? What do we discuss? What do we reflect on? Because again, sometimes it just seems so in our face and so immediate, this current situation, that it's what we should be addressing. Like if there is a fire raging outside, and I mean maybe you're pretty safe, but like if it's outside your house, right, you're gonna be focused on that. I mean, if there's, let's say for example, you're on a ship and there's a small leak in your ship, in the floor, whatever it is, or in one of the walls, and there's water coming in, and it's not excessive, but maybe you should be paying attention to it, type of thing. And that's what I'm saying, is that, but again, I'm not talking about like, oh, for heaven's sake, like looking at the numbers. I mean, who cares about the numbers anymore, and the cases, and I mean, from that point of view, to follow that, I mean, it's just so odious. It's just so sickening, and to follow the news. Oh, for heaven's sake. I mean, it is important to see the trajectory of where it's going. I didn't say that correctly. I mean, that is important, but I mean, to what degree, really, and how much involvement, I mean, 'cause again, how much do you want to get involved with it and engage with it? I mean, and be involved in that energy. For heaven's sake, it's like, oh my word, I know of people that are just sitting, they get home from work, not folks. We're still in lockdown here, basically, till the end of May. That's it. I mean, I was speaking to a friend of mine from the States, I think yesterday, and he was telling me, no, people are out in parks, they're not wearing masks, and it's kind of back to normal. I said, it's not back to normal here. You drive on the streets, like I said before, and it's pretty much like it's still the lockdown, and it's been like this since the beginning of May. Okay, so it's just another month. I mean, it's been another month. So, we really in the deep end here, and only level 3. So there's still a lot of restrictions. I mean, even for myself with flying, very limited number of flights per day. Certain destinations are not happening. You need to get sort of permission, or it's only exclusive for business travel. It's heavy here, folks. I mean, still, no cigarettes smoking, not allowed to be sold, banned. Still a lot, folks. I mean, not that I really sit down in restaurants, but obviously there's no pubs open, there's no restaurants. I mean, you can get takeaways now. Before there was just deliveries, but now you'll be able to get takeaways. But there's still so many restrictions, and so it's just still carrying on. Anyways, besides the point, so it's really like, the other day, I mean, I haven't found the time to say it, but now I can. My reaction the other day, for those of you who did listen to my recording about the people that sanitize at the door, right? After I did that recording and I uploaded it, I just thought to myself, it was just so out of my character to behave that way. I mean, to mention about, I mean, I'm saying it now, it sounds ridiculous, but sanitizing my a-hole, basically. I was just so frustrated. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I was, and that was my reaction, sort of, to the people that force you to sanitize your hands, otherwise you can't go into the shops. And for myself, I understand that I'm being sanitized like 5 times because I'm going into different stores, and also at the beginning, at the front of the shopping center. So it's just like so annoying. But it wasn't just about that, and so that builds up, obviously. But my reaction was, it got the better of me, which is fine. It's okay. But it was out of character for me. And what also I didn't appreciate is that, you see, there's a difference here, because there's some people that sanitize you, and they you can see that, like, I'm sorry I have to do this to you. Like, I'm not getting any joy out of this. I promise you. I'm really, I'm sorry. It's my job. And like, there are those kind of people that do it, and then those kind that do it that, like, they are the sheriff of the town, right? And they are the, and these people who've been waiting for an opportunity for something like this, because usually they're just security. And no one notices them, and no one cares, and they're indifferent, they're on the side, and whatever it is, they're peripheral. It's like, but now for some of them, you've given them, you've given them such, and they love it, and they're like, I'm going to sanitize every single finger on every person's hand type of thing, and I mean, like, I'm not going to, and I'll use all my might and all my force, and like they're glee and they're happy about it. You know what I'm saying? And so that was my reaction to those particular women who really was like, just sort of higher than mighty, found themselves to be just really, and also you could just tell the type of person that it was. And so that energy was how it is. But for some, if you don't sanitize and you refuse, they can get into trouble. They really can. They really can get into trouble. And you can even maybe get arrested. I'm not joking, folks. In this country, I mean, a guy who was tested positive, right, didn't quarantine or something like. I don't know how they found this, whether even the story was true, but basically he came in contact with a few other people, and he's up for attempted murder. I've said this before. This is the second story that this happened to. There was a taxi driver who's up for attempted murder of like 20 people or something like that he came in contact with. So it's ridiculous. They're saying now, I know I'm going on a little bit here, but they're saying now that if you're caught with cigarettes, right, if you're found with cigarettes on you, that you have to show a receipt of where you bought the cigarettes from, because you're only supposed to have bought the cigarettes before the lockdown, right, before they banned it, which was over 2 months ago. So there's no reason why you should have any cigarettes on you unless you bought them illegally or on the black market. I mentioned this before. And they say if you don't have a receipt, they will arrest you. I shit you not, folks. And so people who are sanitizing, at the door, and they don't sanitize you, or whatever it is, I mean, it's unlikely, but you just don't know. You just don't know. I can show you footage of people that were just exercising, not on the beach, they were standing on the beach doing stretches, and they arrested them just for standing on the sand, and they, I mean, just on, not right by the ocean, but just on the sand, and they arrested them. So it's ridiculous, and people are saying you could get a criminal, what do you call it? A criminal record. So do me a favor. And I'm not saying it's not the same in certain other countries, but here it is. So for myself, and it's not only that, but it's also the fact that majority of the South Africans here in this country, right, that they're not fighting back. I find it's the minorities. Right, I can't get into particulars because then you're kind of being seen as racist or something like that, whatever it is. But it's like only the certain minorities that are actually fighting back for the rights, which is maybe 5% of the population. A good 85% that make up South Africans are not fighting, are not signing petitions. They're just not interested, and that's why the government can do what they want to do. And you know what it comes down to, folks? It comes down to the majority of these South Africans are so victimized and carry such a victimized mentality and have no self-worth that they believe that that any kind of government is allowed to do whatever they want to them. And you can't say, well, that's because of apartheid, that they've been conditioned to that, because apartheid was a hell of a long time ago. It finished a long, long time ago. It's a different generation now completely, right? But a lot of especially here in South Africa, because it's not really happening as much in African countries that I've heard of, right? Only in South Africa, because South Africans are considered to be the most violent, and they are, and the worst, right? They are known to be the most violent out of the whole of Africa. It's the highest crime rate in the whole of Africa, right? And so, I don't know, something here, this population that for myself, like, I've been talking about at the beginning of this year, like wanting to leave this country, but I mean, where's it going to happen now? I mean, how is it going to happen now? And who knows, So it's so frustrating with this country. It's like, and it's funny because when certain smaller minorities fight for the rights against the government, okay, basically what I'm saying, I don't know how to put this, but people like myself, let's just say, if I'm fighting the government about lifting the ban on cigarettes, then I get the ANC, which is the government, the supporters or the voters from ANC saying I'm racist. So you can't win. You understand? I mean, they're saying, and a lot of them are just supporting them because they see them as the freedom fighters or something like that. It's like, no, don't you understand, you moron? They're putting you in prison. They're taking away your rights. They say, no, these are the people who gave us our rights. They say, no, they've been taking your rights away from you, not just now, but for decades, man, for crying out loud. And it's the people, it's the minorities that are fighting for your rights, and you're telling them to shut up. Can you believe can you believe this? Can you believe what I'm saying? I can't believe it. But I'm telling this is to be true, because they're so victimized in themselves. They're so victimized, and they're so like, they have no self-value in themselves. So they don't feel like they need to stand up for anything. If I'm talking about the majority, right? And so it's like, and they think the government is their friend, you know? I mean, a lot of people do think that, but here, what I'm saying is that you could never pull this stunt in the States. You could never pull this in this kind of situation. I think they pulled it in India. Okay, they did. I think they banned smoke. I don't know what's going on now, but you know, you can't do this in other countries, right? You won't get away with it. Okay, maybe you can do it in China, obviously, but I mean, you know, be realistic. I mean, the type of country, what it generally is about. But you couldn't pull it in. I don't think you could put it in Australia. I don't think you could put it in Germany, in France, in Italy, in Spain, even in Brazil. I don't think so. Canada, I don't think you could pull it off, because the people will say bullshit. They'll call, but here they'd be like, they're so apathetic. They're like, whatever, you know. We don't. What do we care? What do we stand up for? They're so apathetic. So, anyways, my point being, sorry, folks, I'm getting carried away here. But like, what I'm saying is that the people at the door, the sanitizers, those women, who you can see just reek of that kind of attitude and apathy and just sort of non-caring, and you know, for them, you just get so frustrated with them, as you know, and those are the kind of women that were there and wanting to sanitize and sort of force you, you know, pin you down and sanitize you, type of thing, or whatever it is. And so, but the thing is, again, some people are just doing their job, and sadly we just got to go along with it. But again, what about when they tell you to roll up your sleeve, and while they're just doing their job, what do? No resistance or something like that? We're going to have to cross that bridge when we come to it, you know. Anyways, folks, so yeah, I've just been tired. I need a refresher. I need a change of scenery, man. I need a change of narrative, just for a little bit. Change of people, you know, environment for myself, just something else, so to speak. I think we're all feeling it as well, and I think we're also feeling a bit sort of frustrated about it, because we know, I mean, other countries that have, you know, sort of peaked, and now the numbers are slowly, whatever it is, or they're not pushing more laws, and there isn't different stages and levels going on, and most people are turning back to schools or kids and whatever it is, and you know, somewhat returning to what it was normal, so to speak, before. And you could kind of, what I mean by normal is just to have a bit of a break from the narrative and just try and forget about it for a while at least. And that can happen in certain countries, and it is happening, but not here in South Africa, sadly to say. So that's just where I'm coming from, folks. But, you know, so it is what it is. And you know, I did a video where I was talking about all the benefits that I've gained from this experience. There's no question about it. It's changed me in so much for the better. I feel so much more empowered in mind, body, and spirit. It's incredible. It's really been incredible for me. But you know, and I need a bit of a break, like we all do. Anyways, folks, I'll end off there, and just thinking if there's anything else. I mean, I did kind of want to push more so on the idea that but I think I spoke about it in my talk today, so we'll hear about it in regards to just having change, more so in the spiritual. You know, what I'm saying is not forgetting the mystical and being bogged down in the material and the scientific and all the shit that's going on. But I did discuss it in my talk today, which I'll upload, if not tomorrow, then in the day after that, and I will be replying to comments shortly. Alright, folks, again, thank you for your time, your listening, your support, your love, and your company, so to speak. Alright, take care, be well.